Welcome to Straight Shooting Firearms Talk Show presented by MyGunDiary.com and Drake Fine Sporting Arms of El Paso. With your hosts, Felix Mena and J. Scott Drake. And now, here they are.
Welcome to the premiere episode of Straight Shooting, a firearms talk show. I am one of the two-person team, the co-hosts of Straight Shooting. I'm Felix Mena. Alongside me is...
I'm Scott Drake.
Scott Drake, owner, proprietor, and master gunsmith here at Drake Fine Sporting Arms of El Paso, and I'm really excited about doing the show. Now, we had tried this once before. We recorded a pilot episode. We recorded it in another part of the shop, and it was kind of like a coffee table, fireside chat thing that we had going on, and it didn't really work.
Nah.
It wasn't very entertaining. I have a sample here from the pilot that I want to show.
That was mostly my fault, I gotta say.
No, I don't think so. I mean, and whenever you have an idea, a creative idea, you have to try it out first to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, be willing to adjust fire, right?
Well, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, that's what we did. And I think this format works out better, like a live radio show type of format, because it's a talk show after all. And the other, well, let me show the clip real quick, and we'll see what our studio audience turns, showing off a firearm that we brought to the show and talking a little bit about it. So we'll get into that. And lastly, we'll be taking you on a short tour of Drake's Fine Sporting Arms of El Paso. We're going to look at the retail counter, some of the guns you got back there, and we're going to look at the gunsmith shop as well. To get things started tonight, we're going to take a moment and tell the audience a little bit about ourselves. Scott, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and how Drake Fine Sporting Arms came to be? All right, so there you see where we set up was right over here behind where our live studio audience.
We do have a live audience.
Live studio audience.
You guys are alive, right?
It's very cool.
Okay.
And, you know, it looks okay. It just, the audio quality wasn't that great. Now, we had these lav mics that are, you know, that I use for other videos that I do. And if we're doing like a gun video like we did with the 470 Nitro, that quality is good enough for that sort of thing. But for a talk show, we wanted to have the best quality audio because people need to hear what we're saying.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So we decided to change it up. So that's what it used to look like. This is what it looks like now, and I think this is what we're going to stick with. Yeah?
I like it.
All right, Scott. All right. So now the other thing, too, about this old setup, what I like about you, Scott, and what I noticed when I first met you is you've got a great personality, very good sense of humor, but when the camera goes on,
I kind of blank, yeah.
Yeah, you went blank, and I was like, because when we did the 470 Nitro Express video for My Gun Diary, the banter that we had and your sense of humor came out. You know, it was just a little more ad lib, and so I thought in this format we could get more of your personality.
Oh, you don't want too much.
Yeah. I think so, and I think the studio audience too. And one of our studio audience members mentioned, you know, how funny you are and what a great personality you have. So we want to highlight it. But let me tell you what's on the show tonight, and I'm sure our live studio audience is also interested in what's on the show tonight.
I'm interested too because I got. Let me tell you, I got no study material from Felix, so everything that's going to come up is going to be off the cuff from me.
Yeah.
I asked him. He said, "Don't worry about it. We'll go over it."
Well, what happened was we had to wait. We shot this about 6 weeks ago, 6 or 8 weeks ago, and then I had to order all this equipment. Now, mind you, this is a big budget production. I'm into this show for like $700.
Yeah, it's a lot of. You can't see everything sitting here, but
yeah, I mean these microphones were about $120, $130 a piece, and the mixer, and you know, and then this LED light for the TV, and you know, this just all the little things. And then I even bought an extra microphone. We don't have an in-studio guest today, but in future episodes we will have guests. So I had to buy an extra microphone and extra headphones for whoever our guest is going to be. So yeah, this is big budget production, $700. It's Hollywood is calling. All right, on the show tonight. We're going to start out with some guns in the news. All right, we're going to talk about a story that was out this week about a 17-year-old girl that was home alone. And the reason I picked this story to talk about tonight is you have a daughter that's about the same age that just graduated from high school, and I thought this story might hit home. You can relate to having, you know, if she's home alone and your concerns about safety and whatnot, and what if somebody breaks into the house, and have you taught her to shoot firearms and that sort of thing. So we're going to talk about that story. She was home alone. Somebody broke into the house while she was there. And then the second story we're going to talk about is the one that was in the news this week as well. It was an incredible story. The video we're going to show a clip of is a retired firefighter in Florida.
Oh my God, that guy.
Yeah,
okay.
he was pissed off that the AT&T trucks were parked out in front of his house, and he got his revolver and started shooting out the tires of the AT&T trucks, and then he starts shooting into the engines. And there, he didn't shoot at anybody, but there was an AT&T worker up in the, the what do you call it, the nest?
In the bucket truck.
In the bucket truck, yeah. He was up there while the guy was shooting. So we're going to talk about those stories as well. And then the next segment is going to be our gun of the week, and you're going to pick up something off the rack here. Yeah,
I got one special. We got,
okay.
We'll get one.
Each week we're going to pick out a gun of the week, something off the rack here in the store that you like and that we can maybe promote and sell to somebody out there. And then in my favorite segment of the show is called You Show Me Yours, I'll Show You Mine. And that's where it's like a show and tell, basically. And I went to see the movie Dunkirk 2 nights ago. I don't know if anybody here in the audience has seen the movie Dunkirk yet. It just came out. And, of course, the British soldiers there on the Dunkirk beach in France were all carrying Lee Enfields. So I have a couple of Lee Enfields. One I bought from your shop here, which was the first firearm I bought from you. And it's actually how I met you, because I saw that you had posted on Facebook that firearm for sale, and I came into the shop and I met you in person. I had heard about your shop, but I bought the Lee Enfield, and I have another Lee Enfield, a 1917, a number 1 Mark III that it's actually from the film. They didn't use it in the film, but it's
You're right. Yeah, time period.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And we'll show the Dunkirk trailer and talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. You know where I was on Thursday night?
Where were you on Thursday night?
Doing things here until midnight. That's where I am every night. That's why I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, you probably opened the shop because you love firearms, and now you never get to shoot firearms or go to the movies or anything.
The last time I shot was for our other video that we shot a couple of weekends ago. So.
Each week, we're also going to highlight our gunsmithing job of the week, because you are a master gunsmith. That's kind of the primary purpose of your shop here. And I was impressed with, and a lot of people have been, your custom muzzle brakes. And
I got one to show you.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that tonight. And each and every show, we'll have a little bit of our banter going back and forth. And so I've made my comments about our pilot episode. What do you think about the pilot episode, right? It was good to change it up.
It needed work.
It needed work. Yeah. All right. This might too. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but last week I shot at my very first IDPA match.
You told me, yeah.
Yeah, the International Defensive Pistol Association. It's something I've been wanting to do because, I enjoy shooting firearms, and I not for the competition. I don't think I'm that great of a shot, but just something to do other than shoot at paper targets, right? Because you go to the range, you shoot at paper targets, it's great, but something like IDPA and what is the other one? USPC, Practical Pistol Association, whatever it is. At least you get to move around and shoot at targets. And I did that. And I want you to know that I did not finish in last place in my very first pistol competition.
Well, that's good.
I finished 15th out of 18. Yeah. And it was fun. So I have a little clip I'm going to showing you a little bit of my shooting.
Let's see it.
Yeah, let's do it. As you see, I had a lot of trouble changing the mag. It cost me a lot of time.
I'm trying to get used to the Glock, but of course, the Glock was off, so I didn't want to shoot right. This one resets out here, and then I have to.
Yeah. So, there we go. I'll pause that. All right. So that was my very first IDPA.
Yeah, well, not bad. I mean,
not too bad.
We gotta I don't know if you guys can see it on the Facebook Live or not, but we got to get your shirt out of the way for once. We got to get you some tighter shirts.
Right. Well, in the IDPA, they want to simulate realistic, shooting, and so you have to have concealed carry. Now, you can have your shirt unbuttoned.
Right.
But yeah, I think definitely if you're going for the shortest, the quickest time, everything factors into it.
Right. The first thing we got to address, though, I think, is those white socks.
My girlfriend gives me a hard time about my white socks. She buys me these obnoxious socks that she likes, but they're like,
it could be worse. You could be wearing sandals. At least you're wearing shoes.
What's wrong with white socks? See, look, my buddy over there, he's got white socks. Well, that's fine. So this guy here, Steve, he is the president of the local IDPA chapter or whatever. And he's kind of, he's a former law enforcement officer. Now, I was out there just to have a good time, but he was trying to coach me you know, in the finer points, and he really meant well. But he's like, yeah, I noticed you're using the Weaver stance. You know, people don't really use the Weaver stance anymore. 20 years ago they used to. And I'm like, I don't know what they call the stance. I'm just shooting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great for training, man. Let me tell you something about stances. You stand how you're comfortable.
Right.
All right. You've practiced these stances. Come up with your own technique. Get comfy. Don't worry about perfecting somebody else's stance. You'll never have anybody else's golf swing. Why would you shoot like like a book technique?
Yeah. It was. I will say this. It was fun. I am going to do it again. And the fact that I finished 15th, I'm going to like plaster that on all of my websites and everything. You know, Felix Mena, 15th place, July 15th IDPA match.
You should make your own trophy.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, for 15th place, man.
Yeah.
I was definitely a champ. So
we'll give it the trophy, guys.
now you've got some projects going on here in the shop. You've always got something going on, but this one I'm really impressed with. I'll get a little video shot of it later, but our people in the audience can see. You're redoing the gun rack over there to your right. It looks really nice.
Yeah, it needs a little work, so we're adapting, overcoming some things.
But I highly recommend people coming into the shop if you're in the El Paso area, because it's a neat space. It's a large square footage. You've decorated it nicely with a lot of taxidermy and hunting stuff, and it's just a cool place to hang out. And you'll see.
That's what I was going for. I mean, you know, we've got a nice seating area. We've got a little library. We've always got the coffee burning. So if you're over in the neighborhood, just stop in, hang out, read a magazine, whatever. It's
a cool place to hang out. We definitely invite people down, and then we'll announce when our next show is going to be. And I think hopefully it'll be an event for people to come down, bring some pizza. If you like to drink a beer, and enjoy the show and everything that your shop has to offer. But with that, let's get into the gun news of the week.
This week in firearms news and current events.
Carrie, you're looking at the Facebook page. All right, gun news of the week.
I'm listening.
So, a 17-year-old girl was home in Spokane, Washington. And what happened was there was a criminal on the loose. Okay, it had been in the news.
Spokane?
In Spokane, Washington.
Really?
A guy had stolen a car, something like that. The cops didn't know where he was. They had put it out in the news, and this family had seen it, and they had all talked to each other about it because it happened near where they live.
Okay.
The 17-year-old daughter was home alone, called the dad and said, "Hey, Dad, is it okay if I get your gun? You know, because this guy's on the loose in the area." And he said, "Yes, of course, get the gun." And what happened was
he actually showed up.
The guy broke into the house.
Right.
He's trying to get away from the cops, breaks into the house, and she's there. And here's what I found was interesting, lucky for the criminal, is she's hiding in the room, and he comes into the room where she's hiding, and she's got a gun. She doesn't shoot him. She says, "Who are you?" and get the F out of my house.
Yeah.
And then the guy took off, and he left the house.
That was a good call. I mean, on his part.
On his part to leave.
Yeah,
absolutely.
To go away.
So here's my question to you, Scott. You have a daughter who's 18.
Uh-huh.
And have you taught her to shoot?
Oh, yeah.
Does she know how to shoot?
Oh, yeah.
Have you talked about scenarios where, hey, if somebody breaks into the house, here's where the firearm is?
I don't need to, man. I call her before I get home because I've never had to teach her anything about self-defense in the house. I call her to make sure she's not going to freak out when I go home, late at night.
So you call ahead of time and say, "Hey, I'm coming home." It's
Yeah,
don't.
I'm joking, but
But still, you let her know.
Yeah.
Right, because if she's not expecting you,
right,
and somebody breaks in. Now, let's say knowing your daughter, let's say she was in this scenario, and there was a criminal on the loose.
Yeah, I feel bad for them.
Would she have? And he comes into the room where she's hiding. Would she have shot him or said, "Who are you? Get the hell out"?
He probably would not have walked out of there.
Yeah, she probably would have shot him. Yeah, I mean that's what surprised me about it. Now the guy is still.
I'm not saying that that's the best course of action, but I'm just saying, you never know what somebody in that situation is going to do.
Right.
Somebody in your house that comes in like that. I mean, they're desperate at that point. They're running from the cops.
I thought about it from my position. Let's say I'm home alone. Somebody breaks in while I'm there. I'm not going to ask them who are you?
Right.
I'd hate to think of myself as a shoot first, ask questions later. But once they break in and are in your house, that's it, right? Your life's in danger, don't you think?
Yes. I mean, that's a judgment call on that situation. You know what I mean? And everybody likes to say, "Well, I would do this in that situation." You don't know.
You don't know what you're going to do.
idea.
Yeah. But if I'm in the living room, in my bedroom, somebody breaks a window, they crawl in through the broken window, that is, to me, a life and death situation.
Right. I would like to think that we could get to the point where I could subdue that guy by telling him to get down, yeah, I'm going to shoot you, whatever, and stop him before you actually have to do that. But I mean, situationally dependent,
The other, I think, factor there is if that person who breaks in and clearly has a weapon, then I think, you got to shoot to defend your property and your life if they have a weapon in their hand. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, kind of all bets are off at that point.
Yeah.
Because nobody breaks in with a weapon not intending to use that weapon in my mind. You know what I mean? If somebody's got a weapon, they're probably prepared to use it.
Right. Now, but have you spoken to your daughter about the scenario? Hey, if you're home alone, here's what you do. Have you guys had that conversation?
I think it's kind of unspoken, honestly.
Yeah. Well, maybe a story like this might prompt you to say, hey, let's talk about what we can actually do if somebody breaks in.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. The second story in the gun news of this week is this guy down in Florida, a retired firefighter. I guess he had worked for the local fire department for 30 some odd years, is pissed off about the AT&T trucks parked in front of his driveway. And let's watch a little bit of the video.
Yeah, I like this title right here, Quiet Man Snaps. It's always the quiet ones.
So he's got a revolver. Sounds like, a large caliber, maybe a .44 Magnum, but he goes and he shoots out all the tires.
There's a guy shooting out my tires. I'm at work, working in the area of Hialeah.
On the phone.
Yeah,
684.
he's on with 911.
He shot out the tires. 684 Southeast 5th Place, Miami, Florida. There's a guy shooting out the tires, and he's shooting the engine on the trucks and everything.
Just shooting into the engine block. Okay.
All right, no problem.
All right, so he reloads. He reloads a total of 3 times, right? He's just emptying his revolver into these trucks, and there's a worker up here in the basket, right? So he wasn't shooting at them. Cops come, they arrest him. They charge him with aggravated assault, 2 counts of aggravated assault, something like that. Now, they say he was a nice guy. The neighbors say he was a nice guy, and he just snapped.
That's what everybody says all the time.
Right? I mean, but still, this is how do you defend that situation? The guy's got how much time in jail should he get for what you've just seen?
But that was a terrible life choice.
Right.
I mean,
but how much time behind bars is that worth? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
They should probably evaluate the guy. I mean, he's got a screw loose. I mean, that is definitely not responsible gun ownership.
Right.
For one, that is absolutely the wrong way to protest the AT&T truck in front of your house.
Now, the other thing about this story is the guy shooting the video, the AT&T employee, he's close enough to where you can make out all the details. He's not running away. If I'm the AT&T employee and someone's got a gun, even though they're shooting out the tires, they haven't pointed the gun at anybody, but who knows what this guy's capable of, I'm taking off. Right. I am finding cover. I'm not worried about shooting cell phone video. If I am, it's from further away, behind cover, and he did the right thing and called 911. They came and arrested him. But, yeah, I'm going to follow this story just to see what the guy's mental situation was. But what do you do? Let's say you're the AT&T worker, right? This guy is shooting up your truck. What do you do?
Oh, I'm not standing in the middle of the street, I mean, yeah, like you said, I mean, get out of view of the guy for one. I mean, you probably want to keep an eye on the guy, but get out of, at least out of range,
right.
Behind something.
Yeah.
Go into a house.
Yeah.
Whatever. Knock on somebody's door.
Yeah. Let me see. What would you do if that was happening outside your house? Run far.
Yeah.
Now, if it's, let's say, if you're the employee, the AT&T employee, but let's say you live in that neighborhood. Let's say you live across the street from where this is going on. What do you do? Do you grab your firearm? Do you
just let the cops handle it. Stay in your house.
Stay in the house?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing video that came out. So yeah, definitely. Always firearms in the news. It's absolutely a pertinent segment of our show. We're going to talk about the interesting news segments. And then next week, I definitely want you to highlight a couple of news stories that catch your fancy. But with that, now let's get
work. I have to do work.
Yeah, I mean, look, we got to entertain the people.
Right.
All right, now it's time. That time I played the correct intro. Yeah, the gun of the week. All right, so you got something off the shelf. Take it from here, Scott.
Okay, let's talk about the gun of the week.
Yeah.
Sorry, turning my back to the audience.
You're
That's
fine.
a no-no. I want to talk about this little guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is a CZ 12 gauge side-by-side hammer gun. Super impressed with these, man. I love CZ products.
Yeah.
CZ makes great stuff. But I'll tell you what, the quality of this firearm, I'm super impressed for the price. And when dove season rolls around, if this has not moved off my shelf, I'm playing. I'm taking it.
My first like nice shotgun over and under double barrel was a CZ, about one of the lower end ones that I actually use for skeet and trap shooting.
Right.
But this definitely looks like a nice dove quail hunting gun. But
It's an old style, hammer gun. I mean, it's brand new, obviously,
Right.
but very traditional and just a heck of a lot of fun, I think.
what does something like that sell for?
This one retails for about $1,099, so just
Wow.
under $1,100.
Yeah.
But good luck getting a side-by-side shotgun these days for anywhere close to that of any quality.
That's what a good side by side
Let
shotgun.
me just say any quality, not any quality.
$1,000 for that firearm. Do you mind if I hold it?
Take it.
Yeah. You can see. What I noticed right away is this. What do you call this style?
That's called color case hardening, man. They actually do that with fire. Yeah, you put that thing in a crucible, heat it up to a couple, depending on how you're doing it, 1,400 degrees for about an hour.
Right.
Drop it in bubbling water, and it case hardens the surface and gives it those cool colors.
It's really gorgeous.
Yeah, if you guys can't see it on TV, it's got a lot of purples and yellows and greens and stuff in it.
Can we pass it around to let these guys see it?
Yeah, sure. Here.
How many inches is that barrel? Did you say?
I think that is a 28 or 30-inch barrel. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a long barrel.
Right. That's really nice. So you can come down to Drake's Fine Sporting Arms of El Paso and check it out. That is a double barrel CZ. What's the name of the model again? Did they have a name?
I can't remember the name. I think it's just called a hammer.
We'll look it up.
Yeah. Anyway, check them out online. Just look up the CZ hammer gun. You'll find them. Really neat gun. And like I said, if I've still got one on the shelf when dove season rolls around, I'm taking it out.
Right.
Just for fun.
Hey, before we get into our next segment, I forgot to grab those two rifles out of the case there. So we're going to talk about the Dunkirk movie and the British Lee Enfield, because we're going to get into our next segment, which is called You Show Me Yours, I'll Show You Mine.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
I've got I've got all these sound effects from all the old radio shows I used to do, and I definitely want to implement them. And I was debating on giving you the memory card, the flash drive with all the sound effects.
You don't want me to have the sound effects.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if you really, because you could go off, because I've got a bunch of cool stuff here. All right, yeah.
It would just be random button hitting the whole time, man.
So I went to go see the movie Dunkirk a few nights ago. It's an excellent film. We'll show the clip here in a minute. And it takes place in 1940 France. The Germans had driven the British and the French armies back to Dunkirk, and there was 400,000 soldiers on the beach, and they got to evacuate them all. And the British soldiers were all armed with the Lee Enfield, and because it was 1940, it was this model, which was the number 1 Mark III, and not the number 4 Mark I, which wasn't introduced until 1941. So let me show you a quick clip of the film there.
Get around to it.
The enemy tanks have stopped.
Why?
Why waste precious tanks when they can pick us off from the air like fish in a barrel?
There are 400,000 men on this beach. You can practically see it from here.
What?
Home.
So excellent film. The aerial combat scenes are some of the best I've ever seen in any movie anywhere. Really intense. What I didn't like about it is this isn't a movie review, but let me tell you really quick. 400,000 soldiers on the beach. The movie basically opens with them already on the beach, and they don't really depict the magnitude of what was like to have 400,000 soldiers on the beach. They don't really show that, and I think it just lacked a little context because I was looking around the audience, and I could just tell there were like teenagers there that they don't even know what Dunkirk is. Yeah, they're just going to the movies. They have no idea the context of how they got pushed back to the beach, and so that's just my comment on the film. But talking about the rifle, so this is a 1917 British Lee Enfield. This is the rifle that basically, took care of the British Empire for many years. 10-shot, .303 caliber. Have you ever fired one of these?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you think?
The 303 is a sweet shooting round.
Yeah, absolutely. The action on this is pretty cool and unique. It's unlike a Mauser, which cocks when you pull the bolt action back. This one cocks the hammer when you close it shut.
Some Mausers, yeah.
Yeah, so takes a little getting used to at first when you close that hammer or when you close the bolt because
you use your man hands.
Yeah, there's a little bit of resistance to it, but a really gorgeous weapon. And then the other thing, when I first shot this weapon,
did you get that one here?
No, I did not get this one here. Look, I do buy firearms other places than your shop.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, unacceptable. But it was before I met you, so that's my excuse.
Okay.
But one thing I noticed about when I first shot this firearm is that when you shoulder it, like I shot it seated because I wanted to kind of zero it in and see where it was, where the sights were lined. The stock, it kind of feels like it wants to slip down a little bit. And I was talking to some people online. Everybody always has comments about it. This weapon really, it wasn't made to be shot at a seated bench rest. It's a combat rifle. It was made to be shouldered in a standing position or in a kneeling position, and you hold that rifle up nice and high on your shoulder. Whereas if you're at the gun range and you're just kind of zeroing it in, it sits a little lower. This one is meant to be held up a little bit higher on the shoulder, and that made a lot of sense to me. But a very famous weapon, and the way you can tell the difference between the number 1 Mark IV and the number 3 is this kind of, how would you describe this style of the crown here, the front sight post? It's kind of like...
Of the what now?
Like the difference here.
Yeah, it's just a full stock all the way out to the end.
Yeah. So that's how you can tell the difference between the number 4 Mark I and this one. But we can pass that one around to our studio audience as well. A heavy weapon. It's like 12 pounds, I think, maybe more. And with that, let's get into our gunsmithing job of the week.
It's time for the gunsmithing job of the week.
You know what I think I'm going to do with these intros? So, I got the same music on all of them. That's going to be kind of our signature, but I think I'll change it up so each one's a little different.
Hey, you do you, man.
Yeah, it's a
that's
little repetitive. Now, when we were out shooting the 470 Nitro Express video that you can see on YouTube on My Gun Diary, you had brought out a really nice... Oh, that's a motorcycle outside. Wow. Yeah. A really nice rifle that you were testing out that you had done a custom muzzle brake on. And I've heard several people comment about your custom muzzle brakes, and so I'm going to let you take it from here. Tell me a bit about the custom muzzle brakes that you do, the rifle that you have there, kind of the price range of it, and what the advantages are of the muzzle brakes that you customize here.
Yeah, so a muzzle brake is a muzzle device. It basically diverts gas. It's instead of coming straight out the muzzle and causing that added gas recoil, what you do is you divert the gas out to the sides, and it reduces recoil. My brakes, there's really not an easy way to tell without a bunch of equipment, but by feel, you're in the 30-40% range on felt recoil, and I've got an audience member that can probably attest to that. So anyway, but yeah, my custom brakes right now, just for the brake itself, run about $75, but get them quick because the price is about to go up because I'm doing more muzzle brake jobs than.
So word has gotten out about how nice your custom muzzle brakes are. The demand is going up. Your time is valuable, so you got to jack the price up a little bit.
Well, we're not jacking the price up, but
that's a bad word. I didn't. Yeah, I mean, you're raising the price because it's worth more.
We were
than
new in business, to get the name out there and everything like that. It was kind of more of an introductory price. But now that the name is out, we're going to go more with what the actual market. Driven prices are. Yeah. So we will be raising the prices. So if you want a muzzle brake, after our first year in business, so we're looking around October, prices on things are probably going to go up.
Right.
So we do thread muzzles too. It's $95 for muzzle threading, and like I said, $75 for a custom brake right now.
Tell me though a bit about the design, the way you have the gas ports there.
Yeah, these gas ports on this, it makes for a really effective brake. And I know you guys can't see it on the Facebook Live, but we'll get a close-up shot of it. So everything is horizontally opposing. All of the ports are horizontally opposed, which gives you an even gas spread all the way around. And what you don't want in a muzzle brake is for one side to expel more gas than the other. So they've got all these swoopy, fancy muzzle brake designs with all the weird cuts and things like that. But if they're not horizontally opposed with their gas ports, then you create a high pressure, low pressure system inside of your muzzle brake, and it can actually affect your bullet flight and do all kinds of weird stuff to your bullet.
So now you said you have a customer here that has had a custom muzzle brake from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a noticeable difference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they're just gorgeous. I mean,
This one's made of brass. You don't have to get brass. I do them in brass because I think they're cool. This customer asked for a brass brake.
it looks really cool.
Yeah,
it looks great.
It kind of gives it something different, you know. And I like them on certain guns. If it's a nice, you know, wood stock gun or something like that.
Right.
It really gives it something different.
So just real quick, what's involved if the rifle is not already threaded for it? You have to do that work to thread it.
Right. I have to take the rifle apart. We put it in the lathe and turn down the muzzle to the right diameter, and then thread it on the lathe.
And then these muzzle brakes are one of a kind, right? They're made.
Each one is made to the gun.
Right. Wow.
So if you bring in a gun that's already threaded, you know, we can match that thread shank and get all the proportions right on the thread so that everything lines up correctly. You're not having a gap in there where you've got a bunch of threads that are not accounted for.
Yeah.
Basically, the tolerances. I actually measure the bore on each rifle, cut the tolerances to the muzzle brake to give it the tightest tolerance possible, so you get more gas expulsion from the brake itself. If you buy one, you know, off the shelf, order one online, whatever, you can't be sure that how they cut the tolerances. I mean, mine are cut to about 15 thousandths of an inch per side of the bullet.
Yeah.
So it's very, very tight.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely, I think, one unique item that people can come here and get at your shop. The work that you do here is absolutely beautiful. I think the price is very fair. That custom muzzle brake just adds a lot to the functionality and enjoyment of shooting your firearm. So I think it's probably the most unique product that you have here in your shop.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, this one's brass. You don't have to get brass. We do steel. We do stainless. We do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll look forward to the next gunsmithing job of the week that you were going to talk about, because, you know, that is the primary focus. This is a gunsmith shop, I think, first, and then a firearms store second.
Firearm sales are cool, but I mean, really and truly, our focus is on gunsmithing, custom rifles, and customization, things like that. We stick to the traditional stuff.
If you believe it or not, that a half hour goes by quick.
Yeah.
That's a half hour. Actually, I think that's like 34 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to keep rolling though, right?
I think we got to keep it to a half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll have to work on our time.
Yeah, and that with each show we'll get better and better. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching, and thank the live studio audience for coming in. And we'll as we do each episode, we'll start to come up with new ideas to make it more entertaining, more fun, get a larger audience here, and make it a big event. If you want to see more of Scott's work, go to his website, dfsa.us, or facebook.com/ what is it? Facebook.com/
If you just search at Drake FSA
Drake
on
FSA.
Facebook, you'll get us. Yeah, we're working on the website constantly. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of stuff on there now, but I've got a new website guy that's going to be.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be schmancy.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my stuff you can see at mygundiary.com, and you'll be able, if you're watching on Facebook Live right now, you'll be able to go there later tonight and watch the fully edited version of this awesome show. And with that, we'll say goodbye. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check us out next time when we take another shot. That's a catchphrase.
I like it.
Yeah,
We'll see you next time.
Yep. Hey, I should throw an applause track in there.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Straight Shooting when we take another shot.